Hey, what's up? I'm Dallas Wade, and welcome back to another worship service. Today we are going to be looking at what is potentially the absolute worst argument for Christianity, despite the fact that it is also the single most popular argument to find on t-shirts, on bumper stickers, and on those massive, expensive billboards that you pass on the interstate. I'm hoping that with this video we can encourage at least one Christian organization to possibly consider a better ad campaign than this terrible argument. There is a logical fallacy known as the black and white fallacy. It's when someone presents you with two options when in fact there are more than two options. An example of this would be if I said to you, there are Democrats and there are Republicans, so which one are you? That would be a black and white fallacy, because you could also be a libertarian, a socialist, a communist, or heck, you might even be a feudalist. I don't know. Typically, when someone is using a black and white fallacy, what they will do is they will try to invalidate one of the options and then conclude that by default, the other option must be the correct one because, well, it's the only one left. A lot of Christian arguments use this fallacy. When Kent Hovind or Ken Ham or Ray Comfort argue that evolution is stupid and illogical and that it doesn't make any sense, and then they pick up a Bible and say that it isn't any of those things and so therefore it is true, they are using the black and white fallacy. Because even if evolution was stupid or illogical or didn't make any sense, that wouldn't then mean that the Bible is then automatically true, because the Bible and evolution are not the only two options here. There are plenty of other Christian arguments that use the black and white fallacy, but I think that it's used to its fullest extent in this argument, which is formerly known as Pascal's wager. You may not recognize Pascal's wager by its name alone, but you most likely will recognize the argument itself. Pascal's wager, put simply, is this: if God exists, then you have everything to gain by believing in him and everything to lose if you don't. However, if God doesn't exist, then you have nothing to lose by believing in him and nothing to lose if you don't. Therefore, it is better to believe in him than to not. And of course, that is usually paraphrased into something like this: I'm a Christian because I'd rather be safe than sorry. Pascal's wager doesn't actually try to argue that Christianity is in fact true. It instead just tries to argue that Christianity is a safer bet than atheism. Because if Christianity is true, then you will be rewarded if you believe in it and punished if you do not. However, if Christianity is not true, then there is no reward and no punishment to worry about. So the only way to guarantee that you will avoid the punishment and have the best chance of receiving a reward is to believe in Christianity. That's the argument anyway. That's Pascal's wager. Even when I was a Christian, Pascal's wager is not an argument that I was ever formally presented with. I was very aware of it for the same reason that most people are familiar with it. I had seen it on t-shirts, bumper stickers, billboards, and it was very common to see it come up in pop Christian media. I never really spent any time thinking about Pascal's wager though. Even when I did see it show up from time to time, I just kind of shrugged and thought, oh yeah, sure, that makes sense. And it does make sense, as long as you don't think about it for more than like 15 seconds. But as soon as you do think about Pascal's wager for more than 15 seconds, you'll realize that it is nothing but a giant, heaping, steaming pile of hot turds. And that's the most philosophical way that I can put it. So today, I'm going to explain exactly why Pascal's wager is a pile of turds. Problem number 1. Pascal's wager presents Christianity as the only form of theism. The first issue with Pascal's wager is that when it's used by Christians, it presents Christianity as the only form of theism and the only alternative to atheism, but it's not either of those things. There are thousands of different religions. There's Bahaism, Buddhism, Khao Dai, Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Judaism, Shintoism, Sikhism, Tenjikoism, Zoroastrianism, and those are just the religions that currently have at least 1 million followers. Those are the current major world religions. Most of the world religions are much smaller. You have tribal religions, pagan religions, spiritual cult religions, traditional folk religions, religions, and ethnic religions, all scattered throughout the world. And there is archaeological evidence of religious practices going back over 100,000 years. So there's no telling how many religions have existed over the course of human history. And even aside from religion, there are possibly infinite forms of theism. Just to name the basic types of theism, you already have animism, autotheism, deism, henotheism, kathenotheism, monolatry, monotheism, omnism, panentheism, pantheism, perennialism, polytheism, and probably more that I'm not even aware of. So no, Christianity is not at all the only alternative to atheism, nor is it the only version of theism. And so because of that, you can't just choose to not be an atheist and then expect to get to go to heaven if atheism turns out to be wrong. Even if you choose to not be an atheist, if you choose to be a theist, to believe in a God, you still have to choose which God, which religion, which theology you're going to believe in. And there are millions, if not billions, of them to choose from. So good luck with that. Problem number 2. Pascal's wager presents Christianity itself as one option. The second issue with Pascal's wager is that it presents Christianity itself as one option, when in reality there are tens of thousands of different Christianities. You can't just believe in all of them because they are all different. On the surface level alone, you have Catholic Christianity, Gnostic Christianity, Jehovah's Witness Christianity, Mormon Christianity, Orthodox Christianity, Protestant Christianity, Rastafarian Christianity, and a few more obscure Christianities. And if you look below the surface, each one of these Christian religions branches off into even more Christianities. Within Protestant Christianity alone, you have Anabaptists, Anglicans, Baptists, Calvinists, Campbellites, Evangelicalists, Fundamentalists, Liberalists, Lutherans, Methodists, Pentecostals, Presbyterians, Quakers, Unitarians, and hundreds more Protestant Christianities. And it doesn't end there either. Each one of these Protestant Christianities splinters off into dozens more Christianities. For example, within the Baptist sect of Protestant Christianity, you have Conservative Baptists, Full Gospel Baptists, Independent Baptists, Missionary Baptists, Pentecostal Free Will Baptists, Primitive Baptists, Progressive Primitive Baptists, Separate Baptists, Seventh-day Baptists, Sixth Principle Baptists, Spiritual Baptists, Southern Baptists, Two-Seed in the Spirit Predestinarian Baptists, Union Baptists, and trust me, there are way more than that. So no, you can't just believe in Christianity and expect to get to go to heaven if the Bible turns out to be true. You have to actually believe in the correct version of Christianity, or at least not believe in the incorrect versions of Christianity. But even if you do that, even if you do happen to believe in the correct version of Christianity, that still doesn't mean that you'll get to go to heaven if the Bible turns out to be true. And that brings us to the next point, the next problem with Pascal's wager. Problem number 3. Pascal's wager argues that all you have to do is believe. Pascal's wager argues that all you have to do is believe in Christianity in order to avoid hell and to be rewarded with heaven. But that isn't what the Bible says. The Bible does require you to believe in Christianity, but it also requires you to follow a very strict set of rules, commandments, laws, as well as practice certain rituals. And so even if Christianity did just so happen to be true and you did just so happen to believe in the correct and proper version of it, you would still go to hell unless you also properly followed all of the instructions and all of the commandments given in the Bible. Problem number 4. Pascal's wager presents belief itself as a choice. Another problem with Pascal's wager is that it implies that belief itself is a choice. It implies that you can just choose to believe in something or choose to not believe in something, as if it's as simple as flipping on or off a light switch. But that isn't how belief works. You can't choose to believe that it's wintertime when you know that it's mid-July and you live in Alabama, and you can't choose to believe that it's not raining when you're standing out in the middle of a freaking monsoon. And so if you are only a Christian because you want to be safe in case it is true, then you don't actually believe in Christianity and you don't actually have faith in Jesus. You are literally just gambling. And according to the Bible, one of the requirements that you have to meet in order to get into heaven and avoid being sent to hell is having faith in Jesus. So if you are just rolling the dice and hoping to get lucky, you're not going to make the cut anyway, even if Christianity is in fact true, and even if you choose the right version of Christianity. Everything that we've been over so far is far more than enough to completely dismiss Pascal's wager 10 times over. But despite that, despite all of the problems that we've already been over, Pascal's wager has far more problems where that came from. But I'm not going to bother getting into all of them in this video. I think all of the problems that I've already covered are far more than enough. But I do want to mention one more problem. One problem which I think is the most damaging problem with Pascal's wager. And that is, once again, the fact that Pascal's wager doesn't even try to argue that Christianity is in fact true. It instead just tries to argue that if Christianity were true, it would be more rewarding to believe in it than to not. And so because of that, we should all just be Christians. But if we actually accepted and followed that line of reasoning, we would also all be Muslims. Because if Islam is true, then it would be more rewarding to believe in it than it would be to not. And we would also all be Mormons, because if Mormonism is true, then it would also be more rewarding to believe in it than it would be to not. And we would also all be Scientologists, because if Scientology is true, then it would be more rewarding to believe in it than it would be to not. And we would also all be members of every single religion and every single ideology that promises to reward people who believe in them and threatens to punish those who do not. Because if any one of those religions or ideologies happen to be true, then it would be more rewarding to believe in them than it would be to not. But obviously, you can't do that. We can't do that because many of these religions and ideologies contradict one another, and many of them even explicitly condemn one another. And so what you're left with is a choice. Out of all of these religions, all of these theologies, and all of these spiritual ideologies that promise rewards and threaten punishments, you get to choose one of them. But whichever one you choose, if any of the others happen to be true, then you will miss out on their rewards and you will receive their punishments. So at the end of the day, Pascal's wager doesn't get you anywhere. It brings you right back where you were when you started. You still have a choice to make. A choice that is much more nuanced and much more complex than flipping a coin or rolling some dice. You have a choice that should only be made after carefully considering all of the arguments and all of the evidence for and against all of the possible options, not just two of them. It sucks that reality is so much more complex and confusing than Pascal's wager makes it out to be, but that's just how it is. It do be like that sometimes. But anyway, that's all that I've got for today. So if you enjoyed this video, or if you got anything out of it, make sure you click that like button. And if you really liked this video, please share it on your social media with your friends. That helps out a lot. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from me in the future and you aren't already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified whenever I upload a new video, make sure you activate that little bell icon down below. Also, if you'd like to help support me financially, you can do that over on Patreon by donating as little as $1 a month. It helps out tremendously. It helps pay for my editing software and all of the music and tools that I need to make these videos. I appreciate all of you guys over there who help support what I do. You guys are the absolute best. Also, I need to give a very big shout out and a very big thanks to Steve Borg for your very generous donation after my last video. I can't thank you enough for what you've done. You've helped make this video possible, and you've helped provide tools and software that I need for videos in the future. I can't thank you enough. What a cool guy. You're a freaking legend, dude. It just blew me away. Your donation was very gracious, and I don't even have enough words to thank you enough. And if anyone else out there would like to leave a one-time donation instead of subscribing over on Patreon, you can also do that by sending me a tip on Cashapp. My Cashapp username is thedallaswade. I'll have all the information for that in the description of this video. Thanks for all of you guys supporting me, and thanks for watching this video. I'll see all of you in the next worship service.